What's happening, beautiful people? We have the Facebook apocalypse, the Facebook category or company of products apocalypse that's happened today. So what better time to talk about alternative lead generating strategies and other ways to make sure that your business does not succumb to the what I believe Dan Kennedy says is the deadliest number in business, right? And that is one. So if you have only one mechanism of acquiring customers, if you are one person away, right? If you only have one person that can service customers or whatever it might be, you are at risk of that one thing basically becoming a giant liability to your business. And so there are some companies out there that might be, 100% dependent on Facebook in this day and age. And guess what? Like that is as we've seen today, that is a risky thing. Now, hopefully what happens is, tomorrow or over the next couple of days, Facebook comes back and everybody's excited to be on Facebook and leads come through like crazy and CPMs, like basically eyeballs are cheaper than they were and all those different things. I still love Facebook. I'm still bullish on Facebook as an advertising platform. Frankly, I still think it's the best investment overall that we can make as small local business owners in our marketing. That said, like if that's the only place that you've been acquiring customers, that's probably not the best thing. And so I wanted to talk through some different ways to acquire customers and extend a little offer to you guys if you happen to be hurting a little bit more than you thought you'd be with the advent of this shutdown today. So I've been playing with this concept basically of the idea of a marketing pyramid, right? So you kind of it could almost be seen as an if it fits your macros, right? We're in the fitness world. The old food pyramid is shit, so let's do something that actually works here. But if you almost think about it as an if it fits your macros type scenario, there are different sort of avenues with which you can acquire customers, and depending on your individual caloric needs, if you will, or macronutrient needs, you may decide that one avenue makes a lot more sense for you than others. And so, I really detest personally having to do a lot of organic marketing. I've seen that as being sort of the lowest return on investment from a local gym perspective. It just has not made sense for us in my gyms to put a lot of heavy effort on that front. And so, we spend a lot on doing paid ad eyeballs. We spend a lot on doing internal marketing. We'll talk about it in a little bit. And we spend a lot doing some networking and community stuff. And that's where sort of we've been able to build up enough of a base where, we're happy with those numbers. And so here's kind of how it shakes out. And I might zoom this out. But this is the way I see it. Maybe you'll find this useful, maybe you won't. So I kind of break things down a little bit into hunting and farming, right? So hunting is you're putting some sort of effort out there or paying somebody on your behalf to go put effort out there to garner eyeballs, garner attention, in turn, with your follow-up systems, your sales processes, those eyeballs into hopefully leads and then customers, obviously. Hunting is when you're going out there and doing it. And farming is more like you're planting some seeds and they will hopefully, bear fruit in time. It might not be, sometimes it's immediate. It might take a little bit more time, but they're more long tail things that you hope will sort of feed you for a very long time. And so I'll break those down here. So let's talk about hunting first. So the first thing, maybe the most common thing is, that we'd think about when it comes to marketing would be the paid ad eyeballs, right? So where are you going to go and get the eyeballs in your community where you have enough people that raise their hand and say, oh, I'm interested in this fitness thing, or I'm looking for a personal trainer, what have you, depending on the platform you're on, right? The mechanism with which you acquire those people will be different, but there are a multitude of options that are not just, Facebook and Instagram in terms of advertising. So you have Facebook, you have Instagram, but you also have Google, AdWords, you have YouTube. We've seen, actually a little bit of local business marketing on YouTube. Frankly, I don't typically recommend that. I think there's a little bit of a higher barrier of entry, but there are things that we can do with YouTube. Direct mail is still out there and still a thing that works in a lot of cases. You've got some other smaller digital platforms where I'm not going to mention those here because their results are sort of TBD. But you also have like magazines, sponsorships, local newspapers, things like that, sponsorships with local sports teams, sponsorships where you're building relationships with given organizations, magazines, local mailers, etc. Depending on where you're at and where your target market is and where some of these sort of advertisements are priced, man, if you've got some good copywriting, some good follow-up and conversion mechanisms in place, you can do a lot with some of those different avenues, right? And so then if you have those as a piece of your marketing puzzle, then hey, by all means, if nothing else, if you have those ready to go. So let's say, like frankly, with my first gym, we made pretty much all of our money after we stopped. We kind of stopped the networking game. We did a lot with obviously referrals and networking, all those things. We were getting started up, but then we turned it on like crazy with Facebook. And there's a stretch there where I don't even know if the gym, if we made a post organically, it took us forever to have an Instagram account. I don't know how many posts we did organically, but it was like, single digits per year, and we were still making money hand over fist in that gym. I wouldn't change that necessarily. So I might still be 100% okay with being fully dependent on a given platform if that's the highest return on my investment, not just in terms of money, but also in terms of time and energy. But, and I'm glad we're getting this a little bit early in this conversation here. That is almost 100% okay if you have things in your back pocket where you're like, well, yeah, I'm ready to go now. I'm ready to go do this. I'm going to transfer the offers that were working so well on Facebook, and we're going to reach out to, I've got some ads already written for, magazines and sponsorships, and I'm going to go back to this other mechanism of acquiring eyeballs, leads, customers, etc. If something were to ever happen to this one, I am totally okay with that being your method of operating, because frankly, like, if you have too many of these lines in the water at the same time, sometimes that does a hell of a lot more harm than good. And so, again, while this is a bit of a hey, like Facebook is down right now, here's some other mechanisms with which we can acquire customers. Use what makes sense to you. You also want to you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater here and make sure that you're considering, well, gosh, do I need to be acting on those things now? Or can I just sort of have these things in my back pocket and start working towards being prepared if things do, sort of stay shut down? Now, that said, this is I think a prime time for us to be marketing and growing our fitness businesses, because it's sort of we're moving into the last sort of 6-week and 30-day window where we have a completely friction-free sale where we don't have to account for the holidays at all. There's a lot deeper tactical stuff we can get into in terms of being able to overcome those objections, the holidays, and it's the whatever, and I've got scheduling issues and yada yada. I'll start in January. We've got a lot of different things we can talk through to help you guys overcome that. But the reality is, like, right now, we should be getting while the getting's good and being as aggressive with our marketing as possible so that November and December, particularly once we get into the end of November, into the holidays, is easy. And so, like, man, if you ain't ready, we need to get you ready really quickly on some of these other platforms. So those are the paid ad eyeballs. Of course, there's more. There's TV. There's all these other things. These are the ones where I'd sort of direct you first. And I honestly, for most of you, I would not throw YouTube in there unless you're very good at video and you're very sort of on point with your conversion. That'd be kind of the last spot that I would throw you in terms of this list ranking. Next thing, you have time and energy eyeballs, right? So again, we're hunting. This is where you would have to put out effort to get out in the marketplace. These people aren't going to come to you. Right, effectively, the hunting on the ad side is you're paying money basically to have somebody go out on your behalf and get your message out there. In the case of, in this context, right, the thing that we're paying is a platform telling them, hey, serve our message and put it out in front of people who we might want as clients. In the time and energy eyeballs hunting section, we are using our time, energy, talent to go out there and acquire clients. So I still think networking groups are a really solid way to get clients, particularly early on. If you have a really good system for that, you've built some really good relationships, it can be great to start sending people on your team there. Like, depending on how great the group is, man, you could get a ton of referrals and build a really, significant business just from having a really, really good networking group relationship. Now, some of them are way the heck better than others. Some of them are all talk, no action, etc. Some of them don't have good providers. So it might take you a while to find, one or two or multiple that are really solid. But once you do, those can be great returns on your investment of your time, energy, talent, charisma, etc. Kind of combined with those would be public speaking. So if you think lunch and learns, putting on seminars, this can be internal or external, where you're doing things internal within your facility or externally at a business. Things like that. Camps and combines. So, you could do adult fitness camps. You could also do, combines, speed camps, warm-ups for local leagues, things like that. But again, things that you're spending your time and energy to try to create relationships, build trust with organizations in your community, and then hopefully turn some of those people into leads and then customers. Charity events, right, on the same token. And then, you could do some door knocking. You could do business, door knocking where you're inviting local business owners and their customers in for a, free trial of some kind. Business of the month, right, where you give some sort of discount or offer to local businesses, things of that nature. Those are time and energy eyeballs. Digitally, in terms of time and energy, again, this isn't something where you just pay somebody and it gets done. Your organic social and content marketing, where you're doing direct calls to action, I think kind of fall under this category. To me, the more content-driven things that you're trying to put out there as assets for your business that you can sort of refer back to later, those are more things that you think about in the kind of the farming context. Yeah, I'm going to make an investment in a really good post on finding a great personal trainer because it's probably good for SEO. It's something that, like, if somebody has a question on it, I can point them back to later. If you're doing a podcast, right? Hint, hint. You can, like, someone has a question on how we, think about sales, and I can go back to a podcast episode we did however many months or years ago and say, like, here, this is something that might, benefit you or get you moving in the right direction, or just get to where you know, like, and trust us a little bit more. So those are more kind of farming mechanisms. A call to action would be like, man, I'm going to make a hard sale on this. And sometimes they're a little bit hybridized. So again, they don't have to fit in these categories perfectly, but your organic, social and content marketing, where you're driving to a call to action, those would fit in this hunting area. The other side where you'd be hunting would be cold messaging. So cold email, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, things like that. Those would fall into this category. Again, I'm not necessarily supporting all of these mechanisms. I'm saying, like, these are things that you could do. I personally kind of just hate the cold messaging game. I think it's too easy to do wrong and too easy to give people in your market a bad taste in their mouth. And when you're not sort of serving a nationwide or worldwide market, where, like, you have to actually, go see these people in the grocery store and see them at the local restaurants, or go to church to see them on Sunday, like, whatever it is. I don't want to be known as the guy that's the used car salesman in my community, just cold messaging people and pitching them constantly, because word gets around fast, and I don't want to be that person. So I am not going to put that on you. There are other ways that we can do the organic marketing that I think are more effective and, more sort of long-term sustainable. Because again, our goal is to make you, help you grow in ways that you're going to feel awesome about. Moving on, in terms of the kind of the hunting side of things, you've got reactivation. So, database reactivation of past leads, you have reactivation of past clients. So again, if you need ways to kind of, shake the money tree, so to speak, like, these are ways that you can do that and go out and do so in a kind of a hunting based mechanism. Now, farming, longer tail investments, you have external things. So, having a great lead generating website, you want something that's going to give people I should have pulled up sort of, good examples and terrible examples of websites, because there are plenty. But you want people to have ideally one friction-free door, one thing that they can do on their website that should be, hint, have them become a lead. You don't really need to have a brochure. You don't need to have every single aspect of your business on your website. Ideally, you sort of call out to the target market that you're trying to reach. You give them some sort of compelling reason to reach out to you. You speak directly to them, maybe show some success stories, etc. And then, if it's designed well, things like that, boom, you hopefully get a lead who becomes a customer, so on and on and on. Search engine optimization would fall under the category of farming, right? It's a long tail investment. You got to be careful about SEO people. A lot of people lie about that, and it's, again, a little bit of a shady thing. If you want more information on that, we're happy to help you with it. GMB, Google My Business. So Google My Business is a great spot to make sure that you have all your fundamentals down, and where you can acquire customers, make sure that profile is up to date, that you're getting people to request reviews, things like that. And then finally, your non-direct sale content that we talked about, right? Instagram, Facebook, maybe blogging, YouTube, etc. Like, go where your target market is, put out content that's useful to them, and hopefully they respond favorably and reach out to you and try to hire you for their services. Finally, internally, right? Again, this is more farming based stuff. You can argue that it's hunting. I think, any of these sort of internal things are more long tail investments. They tend to have a long return on them. So I'm thinking less in terms of front end effort and more in terms of how great the return is on the back end. But internally, you have your referrals. You've got reward programs, you've got coaching incentives, you've got challenges, right? So it's almost like these are a mix. This is just the internal marketing category and not necessarily split up into hunting or farming. But you want to have multiple ways that you can drive referrals, because those are obviously, we all know, the highest quality leads we can possibly get. And you want to have, your retention, engagement, cross sales, upsells, your internal type marketing for your members that helps your retention, that helps give them, again, more excuses to refer, helps them stay engaged, helps them buy new and additional products, to upgrade, to cross-sell, to support whatever it is they're trying to do with you in your facility. And so those things, typically you're thinking challenges, you're thinking events, so contests, non-gym outings, right? So we've had great times with our gyms, like going to local breweries or restaurants or places where members of our gym were playing in a band. Like also all those sorts of things are, they might not necessarily be like direct ROI crazy things, but man, like you'd have a hard time convincing me that they don't improve retention and community and connection in your gym, which is going to make like people like you and your community more, which is going to make them more likely to say great things to their friends who start asking about a gym and feeling judged and yada, 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 and say, oh, you need to go to this place. They're the best, right? So that is the sort of a quick version of the marketing pyramid in different ways you can go shake that money tree if you are struggling today and wondering how the hell you're going to get new clients this week. If you want help with this stuff, so we have a brand new omnipresence package. Up until very, very recently, we've been testing this with a few of our clients, but up until very recently, we were basically like just coaching, and basically done for you Facebook and sometimes Google advertising. Well, we've recently moved into, basically we saw so many problems with all these different areas of the marketing marketplace. Clients were complaining to us about their website vendors and SEO vendors and yada, 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 Google My Business vendors, all these different things. And so we put together a package where for the right business, this is not for everybody, this is not for you if you're a complete rookie, like for the right businesses, we will basically take over everything on your marketing plate, if you will, including follow-up software, automation, funnels, direct mail, direct mail tracking, all these different things for you and your business based on what your needs are. So if you'd like to talk about that, where you can basically never have to worry about Facebook going down again, by all means, there'll be a link below this. You can also go to www.myfriendsasYouGrowGyms.com, book a call. I think there's an old video on there, but you can skip that. We don't have a fancy link for this because this shutdown literally just happened today. Or you can reply to this email if you've got this via email. But that's all we got. We'd love to talk to you if you are a more mature business owner doing at least 10K a month that wants to completely offload your marketing to basically the guys that are trusted by the top small group personal training company in the world to do this for them. So we look forward to talking to you. Otherwise, I hope this message was useful, give you some ideas to go out and get some clients if you're worried about that right now. And keep fighting the good fight. Love and hugs. Talk soon.